Aloha. I'm Paul Deloria for the Maui Pono Network, and I'm here today with Kanamu Balinbin, who is running for District 14, or House Representatives. And also with me interviewing is Lucianne Dene and Rita Ryan. So, Kanamu, welcome. Thank you for doing this interview with us.
Thank you for rescheduling with me. I apologize for the last time for not being here. I had some eye issues, but I'm good to go today. So I'm
Good. Well,
I'm
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 glad you're good to
ready to
go.
roll.
Okay, so good. So are we. We're ready to roll. So, uh, Kanamu, if you could start by giving an overview of all the different areas that are included in District 14, and also then tell why you are running and how you feel qualified for this important position.
Well, our district is very diverse. We cover the head of Maui. So it starts off. I can start from Kahana. If you go all the way back around if you go from Kakaloa, Waihee, um, parts of Wai'ehu. And if you start from there, if you go Waihee, you come around the head, you go to Kakaloa, come around to Honokahau, Kapalua, the Pili area, Lahaina, goes all the way down to the Maalaea district. So that's our district. We have rural areas, we have the burn zone, Lahaina in that area. We have the development, the resort development of Kaanapali. We have how would I say, the Kapalua people who those the entities from Kapalua to up the plantation, Honolulu up to their with their problems with water and things like that. It's just really diverse. We got the rural areas of Kakaloa, Waihee, and what else you have there between Kakaloa and I don't the lower areas of Waikapus, Wai'ehu. So, you have different nationalities, different backgrounds, uh, different living opportunities. So it's very diverse, and I've been on both spectrums. I lived in the Upper West Maui area all my life. I lived in Kahana in the Honokoi area, where it's a little bit more cooler than Lahaina. But my family is originally the Balinbin family that I come from is originally from Maalaea Lahaina, that area. We have very prominent families, Lahaina families there, the Tihadas, Kiahis, the Cascos, prominent Lahaina families that are also advocates for our community, well known in our area and our island. Um, we have the people in Waikapu and Wai'ehu and Waihee who have that simple way of life. Go to work, come home, spend time with your family on the weekends, and um, from when speaking with those people, they just want their lifestyle to continue. Um, they're worried about their families being able to stay here on Maui. And the I've always been our family has always been part of the advocacy for clean water. Um, we're food people, so we're here feeding our community in times of need. I remember my dad opening up our restaurant, Coconut Grove, back in the day to families who were having trouble, who needed.
Bridget
We
Ryan,
actually took
your
lists.
times.
We also took
Okay.
calls. We took calls at our restaurant for people who were having a hard time, and my dad and uncles made it a point to take food to those families at no charge. That's the family and type of living environment that I lived in. And on my Hawaiian side, I come from the Ho'opai Ohana from Ulaino Hana, and we come from the line of Pi'ilani, of Hawaiian leadership. So I feel that it's in my blood, it's in my koko of being that stewardship from that Pi'ilani era to take care of our people, to malama our people, malama our Āina, and care for the people like like how you would want to be cared for yourself.
Great.
So it's really shown for since when the fire happened, um, we just jumped into action. Our group here at our S turns, before this group, we had another group. We had an old Uncle Bert Kukahiko that used to run S turns. We had surf contests for our keiki. We did community beach cleanups at our beach and other different beaches. So I've learned through him and through my family to keep doing that stewardship, taking care of our ohana, taking care of our friends, our family, even our enemies, because someday you might need their help. That's God's way. That's how it's taught. I'm a Catholic
Yep.
by faith. God, Jesus, Holy Spirit is an important part of my life. And I feel that, because I coach football, I coach canoeing, I coach in the past, I've coached wrestling. Um, I ran businesses, I ran kitchens, and I feel like I can bring a good team together. And that team aspect. I'm a team leader. When there's a problem, I'd like to jump in, learn more about what the situation is, research it, and see what if it's not in my expertise, get the people that know about. That's kind of the recipe that you cannot have a plumber go do the electrical work. You cannot have that's my theory. So we have a good team in place to cover the bases that we want to help our state with and our
Great.
community.
Great. Thank you, Kanamu, for that. Could you just give me, are there any specific committees that you're a part of at this point in time? And could you name those committees?
Um, no committees offhand, but our group offhand has been as running S Turns Community Donation Hub since day one after the fire, and we are still the only lifeline for some of our kapuna of our families that are out here. We have the Maui Food Bank. They have the store in Lahaina. But they're not open every day. You have to make an appointment. Sometimes it's hard for the kapuna. That's why we have a set schedule. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we run our hub in the mornings from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. We serve lunches there, and on the off days when they can't come, we have a great group of volunteers that will deliver food to people from all over the island. So because we have people all the way up that are staying all up in Pukalani, Makawawa, that are in FEMA housing up there. So we have some of those volunteers come down and they work and they take food up there. So
Great.
it's a community effort. That's what happened after the fire. The community jumped in first, is what I've
Sure
seen.
did. They
Yeah,
sure
yeah,
did.
and
Thank you
we'll
for
still
that,
keep on
Kanamu.
going.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kanamu, for that. Lucien.
Wow. Thank you. I know not everybody knows. You're speaking a shorthand. Not everybody knows what all that means, S turns, and how many folks live in that area. That was old employee housing, and
Hmm.
people who are
Thank
struggling
you,
live in that
thank you. I
area.
appreciate the support.
Yeah.
Kind words.
So anyway, I would like to ask you,
Sure.
I imagine everyone is, what do you think that you'd really like to accomplish for the district, and what's the top issues you think that people are facing there, and what would you like to do about it? What do you think you can do about it in the legislature?
Well, for us here on the Upper West Side, there's certain things. Of course, there's always affordable housing. There's always infrastructure. There's always water issues, which are very important issues. Um, but it seems after time, there's no solution for those three things right now. So we need to collaborate with the other lawmakers, with public private entities, to handle those big issues that we have, that everybody, those are the key words: infrastructure, uh housing. But over here we have specific problems. Like one of the problems that we have for years is that our lower road here in Honopilani, our low road, it's been under CIP for like 30 years now. And it's there's there's always something that goes wrong. Like this last one, they didn't get permission from the families to move the road. So instead of getting permission first, they just started doing survey work and spent like $2.5 million, I believe, on the last environmental survey and all the EIS and everything they had to go through just to find out that, hey, auntie and uncle don't want you to move their mailbox or cut their tree down. So no, so that had to get scrapped, and that set us back for 3 years. The bridge mitigation. There's other environmental issues that happen with the water issues. So that were uncontrolled, but um,
Do you think that you could, get enough support in the legislature to either get, that funding back on track
I
or
believe so. I
have
believe so
control of
because
the
we've been
process?
working on, yeah.
Yeah.
Another member of our team, Chris Salem, who if elected is going to be part of our team. We've been working on that for years, with the county, with Ellie Cochran when she was in charge of infrastructure here as a council member. Um, or it just seemed to get stalled. With other issues coming ahead, there's COVID that happened and the fire.
Mhm.
There's always something. Another issue that's big right now here is with the residents in Lahaina, the residents who lived on the side of Front Street, especially down in Mala, where my family is from. You have several fishing families that live on the ocean that lived there for hundreds of years. Their families lived there for generations, and they cannot build because of the new laws about building near the ocean. Um, but they're telling us it's not our fault that our house burnt down. We was here. We've been always here. And they said, hey, we'll do whatever it takes. We'll pay more money. If we'll pay for whatever it costs if we do destruct any environment, if there's another disaster. And I was speaking with we had our Lahaina homecoming this weekend, and that was one of the big issues. Um, I know that's probably a county issue. However, I think this county kind of state tug of war, it has to stop. There needs to be some direct dialogue between the county and state to work together, malama each other, ho'oponopono, and let's get this done for our people. People are frustrated. People are frustrated with county and state government right now, and federal government. We're going to talk about that as an issue.
Maha-
Yeah,
Mahalo.
thank you,
I hear you. I'm gonna pass you on to Rita. Thank you for your
thank
answer.
you.
Thanks, Lucian. Kanamu, nice to meet you.
Nice
Uh,
to meet you, Rita.
Now, you've run for this office 3 times before for this seat. Uh,
Yes,
and in 2020, you ran as a Republican, and then again in 2022 as a Democrat, correct? And
yes.
then 2024 as a Democrat, and again this year as a Democrat. Interesting that the person holding the seat right now is running as a Republican this year.
I'm
So,
gonna
yeah,
very interesting.
very interesting. Yeah, can you give us some insight as to why you changed parties and what was the impetus for that?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I there was nobody running in the Republican seat at that time, and I was running against Angus McKelvey.
Right.
I grew up with Angus McKelvey. He was a well-known House of Representative, well-known incumbent, and I thought that I would have a better chance if I went into general election as a Republican on the general election ballot. Um, However, it didn't work out that way, and and then I got scolded from my mom for jumping parties. So you know,
Good
my
mom.
Hawaiian mom. I'll be honest with you. My Hawaiian mom. She's one of a kind. You don't go against mom.
Yeah.
Because we're we're Democrat dominant right now. We're Democrat dominant. And I feel that because I've grew up with Angus and we worked together on things before. Um, help me pass the safety bill about sandbags over here. You know, the sandbags were breaking off the reefs here in Upper Kahana,
Oh yeah.
coming all the way down to S turns, and one of the sandbags like pinned one of my nieces down. And when we tried to lift it up, it was like almost 400 pounds. Four of us had to grab it out. So I asked Angus, can we pass it? But we didn't know where the bags came from. So we didn't know who to blame, because you have four hotels that have sandbags in front of them: Santa Kahana, Pohailani, Kahana Sunset, and I believe the Pikake down in Honokawai have some sandbags down there. So we didn't know who to blame. So we asked them, if can we pass a law if there's any kind of mitigation where sandbags are allowed to stop whatever force, it needs to be marked and labeled, because if it does break off, then we can find who the culprits were. So in that sense, you know, the bill passed. I was so happy that the bill passed. Um, and we move forward from then. You know,
Wonderful. On that same question, do you have any insights as to why Representative Cochran is running on the Republican ticket versus the Democratic ticket this time?
um, can I refrain from that question until
Sure.
if I make it to the general election, and
Okay.
I can answer it then.
Yeah,
Um,
it's yeah. I
I
just
you
thought
know
you might have
from what I heard,
insights for voters that maybe we don't
yeah,
know
yeah,
something.
you know, from because I know Ellie. I know Ellie for a while. You know, I know Ellie for a while. Her cousin and I were really good. Are really good friends. We're classmates. So I know her from the surfing world with her husband Wayno. You know, he was a big part of our donation process when we had our S Church community surf meet. Um, I Yeah, I'm just going to refrain. We'll answer
That's
that
fine.
question if we make it.
Okay,
Thank you. Sorry about that.
That's perfectly fine. I know
Yeah,
it was digging a little there. So
yeah.
okay,
I'm gonna move the next
Call
question.
me. I can.
Oh,
I'll call you, and
okay.
I'll call me.
okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Uh, Kanamu, my next
Mhm.
question that I have for you
Yes.
is around our school system. There's
Mhm.
obviously quite a bit of concern about the level of education that people are receiving, and also holding good teachers, having them stay here in Hawaii. And having also a very unique situation with our state controlling our education system versus counties, as it is
Mhm.
in the rest of the United States. So, what would you do to improve this education system that we have?
You know, in our family, Balinbin family, you're either a chef or a teacher. I have a lot of cousins and aunties who are teachers. Um, to this day, I have cousins, you know, in adult education and teaching. My auntie was a big time teacher on the mainland, so we have and also Belinda's. We were education was very important to us. Getting good grades, working hard in the classrooms. Um, you know, I will brag a bit. You know, my kids all honor students. They're all honor students because education. I I I feel that the parents the parents should spend more time with their children and make sure that they're doing their schoolwork, because education wise, I feel that it's up to the individual and the individual families. um there's other issues with the school system, I think, that plays a factor. um Maybe some of the environment of our classrooms. um Sometimes those portables can get really hot, and not all of them have air conditioning. So that's an issue. We want to make sure that all new classrooms have air conditioning or some type of airflow. If we have to bring in fans for the portables, we'll bring in fans for the teachers. Um, also because I coach, you know, I'm with the kids a lot, and I'm in the food industry. Um, the food isn't up to par when I was going to school. When we were going to school, Geez, our food was great. Our food was fresh food. Um, some of it was outsourced from Lahaina High School, because we had a big farming program up there. That's one of the things that I would want to do. I would want to reinstate the Future Farmers of America program to our farming schools, our rural schools especially. Um, because I know Hana, they're starting to do it now. They're feeding their own students and faculty with food that they grow, which is great. They used to do it to Lahaina Luna at Lahaina Luna when we were going to school, and and I think if you build a big enough farming program at the schools, it will help us from importing food from other places. Um, I feel that teachers aren't paid enough. That's the teachers aren't paid enough. I still ask my cousin, do you still have to buy your own supplies? And I said, yes. It's always been like that. That's the things that we need to help with. We need to help teachers with housing. Um, all these people in that education field, they need to have tax breaks to subsidize their living arrangements. Um, there are a lot of there are a lot of I would say students that are graduating that want to get into the education system. However, after a couple of years, and they see other people making more money in finance, more money in here, they some of them I knew that changed their field of study. Education was their secondary aspect, and they're going more into business because they're afraid of that. I want to change that. I want teachers are like one of the most important people in our system, our community. That's how I feel.
Great. Thank you for that. And some of the solutions also. Thank you for those insights. Just one other question along this line. Do you feel that the state should run our schooling system, or should it be run by our counties?
I believe in the past we had one member on the state board from Maui County, from Maui, um, or we had an office here, and now run. Everything is run in the state in Honolulu. Pretty much has the bulk of the say on, and we have different. We're totally different for our schools here in Maui. If you've ever been to other islands and been to their schools, it's totally different. It's a different view. I think that every island should have at least every county should have a representative on the state board, so that they can relay messages better to our team here on Maui, to team better on the wall in Hawaii Island,
Great.
Kauai.
Good. Thank you for that,
Pro
Kanamu.
pro pro teachers all the way. Pro
Great.
teachers all the way. Ashley, I'm pro Ashley as a teacher and
Great.
as a community leader. Seriously, that's the one thing. All these we have a diverse group of people running for this seat, and I know that we all want what's best for our community and our ohana and our state. So, kudos to my opponents for running.
Great. Thank you for that, Kanamu. Lucienne. You're on mute, Lucienne.
Sorry. Yes, this is a great interview. Lots of aloha. On the state level, there's a lot of bills every year seeking to change the process by which land use decisions are reviewed. Often they center around the State Land Use Commission. There's bills that ask legislators to um, either cut down on the types of projects the Land Use Commission can review, or some just want to, get rid of it altogether. There's a variety of things. Have you had any experience testifying on any of these kinds of things, or do you have any feelings like if you were in the legislature, um, how you would evaluate a bill that said the Land Use Commission shouldn't have as much review over projects that are, in different counties like Maui County or Oahu County? Do you have any
Yeah,
feelings about that?
that's why I like I like land trust entities, Habitat for Humanity. Um, uh, I know there's another one here, Nahale, I
Hmm.
believe. Nahale is a great entity, for helping people. Um, what was the real godsend was the Samaritan purse that came
Sure.
here. Yeah, that
They are
that came here.
wonderful.
They're
Yeah.
so wonderful people.
Yeah.
They built a number of homes here in Lahaina that from generational families. That was a godsend. So
But
for
this is
us,
a little different question. This is
yes,
asking about the
yeah,
regulatory process. The State Land Use Commission, before you can urbanize a lot of agricultural land, it needs to
Mm.
right now it needs to go through the Land Use
Yes,
Commission
yes,
review,
yes,
and
yes,
they can put conditions on it. They usually approve most projects, but they sometimes try to
yes,
shape
yes.
them, ask for affordable housing to be part of it, or ask for certain infrastructure to be
Well,
done first, or
what
whatever.
just came to mind for me is that the land use commission, they need to regulate what they say, because up in Laniapoko,
Hmm.
which is ag land, but you have mansions with uh so-called garage ohana barn thing they're calling there, and they're getting away with that. So that's for us. I think that anything that the land use commission passes, it needs to be regulated and policed, that they make sure that they do what they say they're going to grow. If you're gonna go on ag land and build mansions and swimming pools and as your second home, um that's not a good thing for us here in Maui County, in Lahaina area.
Yeah. Okay. So you're saying that the Land Use Commission needs to sort of follow up on what they approve to see if it's
Yes,
really what it says it's going to be.
exactly,
All right.
exactly.
All right. All right. Mahalo. I'm going to pass you on to Rita.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that answer. Um, there are so many issues at stake, especially at the state level. And voters are very concerned about candidates and their elected officials due to money and corruption in
Mhm.
politics. Who are your allies? And do you take money from developers, big private interests, or any other donors that we should know about who may influence your decision making?
My I say no money from big corporations. I will not take money from big corporations. My I'll say my posse is my community. That's who, and I will not. I for one know. I for one will not take money from people who need the money themselves, for myself. So my job is to help put more money into my community's pockets, not just, I mean, regular individuals, the people who are struggling right now, the people who are struggling with finding a place to rent, say, wondering how are they going to afford to buy a home. Um, those are the people that I represent. Um, I I I represent more so the have-nots. The have-nots. I have been, not to. I'm not taking away from any of the unions. I've worked in the hotels for a lot of my life. ILWU is a big part of the hotels and the regulation of that. Um, I but I will not. Whatever happens in the primary, if I've been approached by other unions and entities, um that want us to do it. But I that's just a no. I probably have like maybe $400 in my campaign fund right now. Um, but I know that if anything, my my lifeline is my community. and I'm their lifeline as well. Our team, we have a great team in place. I don't have the answer to some of these questions. You mind like a educated answer. What I have is I have heart and I have love and I have, how would I say it? People, I'm not a talker. I'm a doer. I'm a that's why I keep doing what we're doing. People tell me, if we hear it every week. If you guys weren't doing this, our family wouldn't be eating. How can I? Sorry. How can I stop doing what I'm doing if people need food? If people, if you needed clothes, it would be the same thing. It would be the same thing for me. I'll find, I like to help people on a personal level. Um, and we like to help other big entities that have the same goal, have the same heart, have the same mindset. Um, that's the people who I latch on to, who are who are in that same mindset. That's why we have people on our team that will work together. At some point in this meeting, I would like to mention who our team is, because that's how I when if I'm elected, you don't just get me. You don't just get me. You get Chris Salem, who is a big advocate for housing. He's built affordable housing. He's built. He's right now. We're still fighting the Greg Brown house. We're going to go to circuit court here, so we just filed paperwork to take Greg Brown. That's a whole different issue, but we've been fighting that since the beginning, and we're not going to stop till they hear us. Um, and right now we're in line to go. I'm one of the plaintiffs in this suit coming up. And it you cannot build, you cannot put in hotel plans for a residential property. That's the whole thing that stems from that house. I gotta say it out there right now. I know it's a county issue, but because I live here, because these people are in my community, I wanna, if elected, I wanna be able to go to the grocery store and and be able to not be ashamed of what I've done or what I voted for or what I've done, because I am, everything that I do if elected will be with our community's participation, people participation. That's what government is all about. I think government has forgotten, our state and government has forgotten about that. A lot of the times people will testify about this, about how good it is, but they will vote the other way. And and I would it's not Pono. how I'd say it. It's just not Pono. It's just not Pono.
Yeah, well, I'd like to say that to your comment that you do rather than talk. You're doing a good job of talking. I just want to say that. And
Oh, sorry.
if you do as good of a job as doing as talking, you're going strong. But
I just
also,
speak. I just speak from the heart. I don't have a filter.
that's, yeah, no, I know, I appreciate that. But the question was about, who are your allies? And you did mention some. Do you have any endorsements?
I because I was because I was endorsed by the ILW in the past. I went and made my spiel. They went a different route.
Okay.
I was not a supporter of Bill 9. I'm still not a supporter of Bill 9. To me, Bill 9 was a waste of time. And then they came up with Bill 88. It's I how would I say it? From when I was younger, growing up, my parents didn't have to go testify at a meeting or such and such. Maybe they should have at some point, because. But anyhow, back I remember, because our restaurant held a lot of the older politicians back in, our George Ariyoshi was the governor. Elmer Cavallo, Hannibal Tavares. I remember them coming in and being a young kid and listening to them talk. I remember George Ariyoshi said, yes, they wanted to build Kanapali, but we made sure that we worked with the county government, and we made sure that Kanapali built Waihee subdivision for its workers. And then same thing when had Hannibal Tavares and Elmer Carvalho. They came in there talk. They're saying and who we had in the house at that time. I believe it was Joe Suki. Joe Suki was a proponent. He said if they wanna build Kapalua, then Maui Land and Pine needs to build housing. So they built the Pili House subdivision. That was kind of the norm when they was building developments back then. And even when they renovated the West End, they built a apartment complex across the Pizza Hut in Lahaina, especially for the workers at the West End. So I was thinking, like, wow, these if somebody were to help me get a job and a place to live, I'll be really loyal to that job and to whoever helped me get into the position I'm in. Um,
Yeah.
so that's what we want to bring back. We want to bring back trust to our government. Right now, that's what I feel is lacking, trust with all these corruption issues. Um, you know, there's only the Senate can talk to the governor about his appointees. It doesn't go to the House at all, from what I learned. Only the Senate confirms the governor's choices. So I think that as legislation, as a legislature, checks and balances. That's what I was taught as a kid. Checks up, it should come to the legislation, then go to the Senate for approval. Um, but that's not how it is right now. But I've who I got endorsements from? I got endorsements from individuals. Just not. I'm not looking for the only endorsement I would look for. They don't after the primary. Um, it's probably the first responders, police, the firefighters, any of the teachers unions, things like that. Things that I support. Things
Right.
that I support. Um,
Wonderful.
yeah.
Well, I think you have answered the question completely, and thank you for really digging into that question and giving us a really good answer. I think it
Thank you.
tells the public a lot about you and where you stand. Thank you.
You're
So I'm
welcome.
going to move this now on to Paul for the next question.
Okay.
Well, it's a little bit along the same line of what you were just discussing. And right now we have an estimated 60% of our Hawaiian residents are struggling to get by. And we have a diminishing middle class as in the process. What would you do to help mitigate some of this issue that we're facing with our economy?
Well, first of all, we'd like to. How would I say it? We'd like to if some of these Hawaiian families are on the Hawaiians home list and they were lucky enough to get chosen. Um, I seen the amount of money that Hawaiians homes are asking to build nowadays, and it's in the $750,000, $850,000 range. I don't, a lot of I didn't, you know, I'm on the list with my mom. She's been on the list for years, and I feel like a lot of these families won't be able to come up with the down payment or be able to finance these houses that they got picked. So that's a really big issue. I feel that um, some of our um, rental income people, for me, I would have wished that the county and the state would have, I believe the Lahaina Surf was a state housing place. The Lahaina Surf and Front Street Apartments were run by the state at one point. Um, I would like to have seen those built up first. There's still one building standing at Lahaina Surf. Um, I would have liked to see them renovate that, get that all cleaned up, and put residents in there. Um, I feel that the FEMA housing above Waihee that could be a kapuna housing. If when the FEMA funding, I think if the state could work with the county or work with the federal government and purchase those houses for kapuna housing or workforce housing or both, I think that would help mitigate. It's already there, and from what I heard, they were just gonna take it and break it down. It's it's kind of hard to wrap my brain around how sometimes these career politicians work. I think common sense. I think with the issue of big industry influencing our lawmakers way too much.
Yeah. So, Kanamu, let me ask another aspect of this in terms of diversifying our income base here throughout Maui County. What would you propose, and is there anything you could do on a state level that you would like to bring forth that could help then our income for many of our residents?
Ah, that's a very good question. Um, I think that our minimum wage should be raised for one. Our minimum wage should be raised. I feel that I feel that in some sense, if we could get more tax relief for the lower income brackets, or make it easier for the lower income brackets to get the services that they need. Um, if you ever try to apply for SNAP or um, health insurance through the state or to the government, it's a loophole. It's a loophole. So it's a hard process. I would like to get that process streamlined. Um, for us, front, you know, because we're from Lahaina, we're so tourist based. I think there's a market for ecotourism. We find that a lot, especially in area the area that we live in. A lot of the, how would I say, the visitors in the upper West Maui area, the ones that are my age now, they've been coming here since they were little kids, and a lot of them come to our hub to help us distribute food. A lot of them ask, where else can we help? Where else? What other groups can we help? Can we go? Can we go pull weed somewhere in the mountains? And oh yeah, there's here you go. You can go with this group right here. So in things of that nature, um I feel that we can. There needs to be right now the main expense for everyone is housing. So we need to get some affordable rentals going quick. We need to get, you know, how would I say it? The FEMA market has really messed up our rental market right now. You know, so that that really needs to get taken a look at. Because a lot of I know a couple local families that went out to get the FEMA money to because they were hurting so much instead of renting to another local family. I think at the rate that they normally, because FEMA raised the prices to some houses like $2,000-3,000, 4,000 in some places. It's I'm thinking that any way that you can help the community with the most burdensome bill, that's the best rate to go on, and housing is the one. And we
Great.
got Chris Salem to help us with that.
Okay. Thank you for that. Lucienne.
Ah, well, you were telling us about your team. You mentioned
Yep.
Chris, who is highly qualified. And are there other folks on your team?
Yes, because educational is a very important part of my family and how I feel that we need help in. Um, we I was able to get Louis Hokawana, the chancellor of UHMC, on our team. He's
Mhm.
agreed, if we're elected, to come work with us. Um, he said he could do it. I don't know how. We could get into that more if we win this part. But if if I was hoping that I could bring them on here, but I don't think that was the right thing. And he has a lot of views. You know, one of the things that we want to do in that area, we want to bring back fresh food to our, and we have a plan. We have a plan to bring fresh food back to our schools and help with the environment. And we also have our other team member is Mr. Paul Haake. He's the former um, fire head fire inspector for the county of Maui. He was the
Mhm.
in charge of fire prevention here on Maui, and he's already pointed out that some of the entities that had caused the fire are, there's some brush. There's some brush encroaching on Lahaina Luna. There's some brush encroaching on the Oluwalu. So those entities, Kamehameha Schools and Peter Martin, you better start doing some fire mitigation here soon. We don't want, it's kind of lucky now. It's the El Nino year, it's super El Nino. I think that's helped us with it being a little bit cooler right now and a little bit more wet. But that's just going to grow more weeds, more overgrowth. So we need to. People have how quick people forget. I guess.
Yeah, it's complicated. Anybody else on your team you want to mention?
That's the four that we have right now. That's the four of us is our core team right now, and we have other people in the disaster relief area. Chris Esperito, who's helping at the hub. The Maui Food Bank was a big part of us. So
Mhm.
we have one. We're trying to coerce one of the team leaders there to come join our. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Mahalo. Well, nice that everybody wants to work together. I'm going to pass
That
you on
that's
to Rita.
that's how we got to do it.
I
I
know it's the
cannot
only way
I
you ever
cannot
get
do
stuff
everything.
done.
Yeah, I cannot do everything. We it's. I don't think anybody can do anything by themselves. We need a good core, like how you guys have you guys good core right there. It takes a team. It takes a team.
Mahalo.
Okay, thank you, Lucienne, for that question, and thank you, Kanamu, for that answer. When you go to the House, you're going to be voting on issues that affect voters or residents statewide, not just only in your home district.
Yes.
And there's
Yes.
many, many big issues on the
Hmm.
table affecting frontline communities and Native Hawaiian communities, climate disruption, colonial injustice, militarization of Hawaii. And many candidates address these as sort of side topics, not core topics. Where do you stand on some of the broader statewide issues that are not, where your vote is in the House is not going to maybe directly affect your constituency, but is going to affect all of the residents of Hawaii at large?
Well, if elected, of course, I guess our team would be the new group to the scene. Um, I would look for um I look for help from other Angus McKelvey, who I've worked with in the past, Kyle
Right,
Yamashita, Troy Hashimoto, who people who've been there for a while and
right.
get educated on the topics, and we'll bring it to our team. Um, I know there's issues. There's issues with the Hawaiian homeland, with people with other nationalities trying to get in on that. There's issues, um, you know, how would I say it? There's issues with water, which is really important. Wastewater, things like that of that issue.
Right, well,
So
let's focus down on one of those
yeah.
statewide issues that maybe here on Maui we don't pay too much attention to, but certainly on Oahu, the issue of militarization. The armed forces have not always been good neighbors. They've not taken care of the Aina in the
Mhm,
way that they should. There is a lot of uproar about the military testing that they do
mhm,
here, about the water, poisoning the water, those sorts of issues.
Mm.
As a state,
Red Hill incident.
Red
Yeah.
Hill, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it comes right home, comes right out of your tap, right?
Mhm.
Now here on Maui, we don't have that issue, but that is a real issue on Oahu for people on Oahu. And your vote is going to be influencing those, decisions that are made at the legislature. So how do you feel about the military's role in Hawaii and what they provide and what they take? And what do you suggest would be fairer to the people of Hawaii and the state of the military and how they're treating the Āina and the people now?
Well, because I understand chain of command because I was in the military. Um, and I also because I am of the Piilani line of Hawaiian leadership. Um, I remember seeing. I'm old enough to have seen when they used to bomb Kaho'olawe. Um, I, I've been to Pohakuloa on the Big Island where they do military training, and I've seen the devastation that it did to the land and stuff like that. And it gave me a second look of because most of my time in the military was spent on the mainland. Um, you get this sense of rah 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 rah. But when you come back home and you're in Hawaii and you do your 2 week drill on another island and you see the devastation that it does to your own home state and another island, you feel that. So we've always been advocacy, for the military to pay their fair share, to be more prudent in their military training. Um, I can understand that. I can understand in the sense that because we're so isolated, um, they feel that the military feels that their presence here thwarts any other entity from taking over us. Um, from my feeling, I would have to go and ask those people in that area, you know, and get their views because right now, to be honest, I am I am not educated enough because I haven't spoken to the people. But any issue that comes up to vote, that whether it's on another island, other county, I would do my research and go directly to the people that are affected by whatever we're voting on, whatever issue we're voting on, whether it be good or bad. I need to hear it from the people of that community because that's really the people who are affected. So that's how we would do it. If they don't want if they don't want it, if the community itself doesn't want a certain thing happen, I would have to go with what the people want. If it's against my party, then it's against my party. That's how we would always vote. We'll always vote with our the people that we were not only the people that we were meant to represent in our community, but the people that are affected by the issues that are happening in their area.
So are you saying people over party?
Always, I would,
Great.
I would always, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. You've
Because even though the parties are left, right, green, this, I know. For me, I know we're on the same bird. We're on the same bird, but I have to. I don't answer to my party. I answer to the people that we represent. I will always be like that
got it.
because I want to go to the store and smile to people and not be sweared at. Like sometimes it happens here. That's that's not me. Even though if I disagree with what the community wants, I would have to do what the community wants because they live it. I don't live it.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for that answer.
We have time for one more question. Lucianne, I don't know if you have a burning question. I have one. If you don't have a burning question, then I will give the last one.
I have one about water. I don't know what yours was about.
Well, you know what? It's about also water in some way. It was about our cesspools, but Lucianne, you're the expert in our water, and that certainly is a huge issue here.
Well, thank you. Uh, so in a nutshell, the State Water Commission is now trying to sort things out in West Maui and decide, who should fairly get what type of water. Have you followed this process? And if you were in the state legislature, would you be supportive of the Water Commission having additional staff so it can speed up processes like this?
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. It needs to be speeded up. We need people maintaining our watersheds up here in Pu'ukukui, up in Upper West Maui. Um, we need some sort of. It's going to be wet. I know it's raining more than it usually does in this area during this time of the year. Um, we should even have some sort of reservoir system, a better reservoir system. I remember the cane fields, they always have water towers all over the places back when and whenever the reservoirs filled up, they filled those up as well to use that. Um, you know, there's without without clean water, water is life. It's the probably one of the most important things that we need besides food and shelter. That's the life source as
Do
a
you,
whole.
do you, do you feel that state funds should be used to buy out any of these private systems?
I, if they can do a public private, I would want in my whole world of things, I would like it to be a perhaps a entity where the citizens could benefit from the water, the generational citizens. It's like water is such a for us here, like for instance, we had when we first had the fire, business said, if you can find us some land, we'll build on it. We'll build housing on it. So like, what? Are you serious? So we went and we partnered with Adam Lee from North Shore Stables. Boom. 1 week, 10.5 acres bought from Race Random from Maui Land and Pine. That that planning has that permitting. We're still in the planning process. It's been 2.5 years, and we haven't even moved because of the water issues. And the main county water line is right under the property that we bought, and it's frustrating for us because right now the landowner might have to sell it because he can't keep it without development. We want to do 154 affordable rentals there, and it's stuck. So we're frustrated in that sense. I feel
So
that
do
the
you
the
think that more staff would make a difference, or do you think?
yes, yes, I think staff would make a difference. I think I don't think any private entity should own the water. If the state own it, then the people own it. That's how I feel.
May I follow
Thank you.
up on that? May I follow up on that? Do
Mhm.
you believe, seeing as, our islands are separated, and unlike other states in the union, do you believe the state should have the decision-making power over Maui's water, or should that be a county-only issue?
I I think we should work together. We have to work together. That's we're all government. We should be able to work together to find a solution. It's obviously
But
too many times.
yes, I understand, but that hasn't
Yeah,
been working. So, and
yeah.
people in Maui are
So,
not happy
so, so,
about
so,
that.
so if the county runs it, maybe the state can oversee it, or if the state runs it, the county can oversee the state. They should have a balance.
Okay, so what do you believe the state's role should be in Maui's water rights and distribution?
Maui should get the say for Maui. Is what I'm saying. Is what I say right now. Maui should get the say for Maui
Okay.
in water. Yeah, and the state should be helping Maui reach their decision. Um, I don't. You know, if there's it's such a broad aspect right now. You know, the diversion of rivers. You know, our family comes from Hana, and I'm used to the waters and the rivers flowing at our area, and now it hardly flows into the pools and rivers that we have in Ulaino, where my family is from. So so that's a big issue. I want the taro farmers to have their, you know, if I feel if the state runs, I feel, you know, we really need our farmers to get the water that they need. That's
Okay.
really important as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, Kanu, thank you so much for this interview. You've been very informative, and it's really great to get to know you and your positions on so many different things. Just to let our viewers know that this is again District 14, and you'll be getting, if you're in that district, you'll be getting 3 different Democratic people who are running for that position. And we have interviews at mauipononetwork.com. We'll have it for all 3 of the candidates for the Democratic Party. So again, Kanamu, thank you so much for being a part of this and for letting our community get to know you much better. So
Thank you. Can I say something real quick?
yes, please do.
I would like people. You know, I'm not a sign guy. I'm not a, you know, I'll do I'll pass food out. I'll do that kind of fundraising, but not for them to, you know, I'll give food away. I'm not a sign guy. I'm not, like how I said, I like to do, you know, and I like to work with the community with their problems. I do what I do. We do what I do, our team, because we love this community. We love our county. We love our state. You know, we love the people from here. And that's why we do what we do, you know. And the cesspool issue, we need to talk about that later.
Okay, some other time.
Because that's what
Yeah,
I think I have some knowledge in that area. Because we used to, I toured with people that run, they have I don't know if you heard of the Yidro process. You know, it's phenomenal what they've been doing with cesspools here, with degrading the waste, filtering the waste. It's a I was lucky enough to tour Kihei plant, Lahaina plant, um, and there's a way we can get rid of these injection wells because they're hurting
great,
our water. They're hurting our
Good,
system. Thank you.
good thought. You know, there's that old saying, uh, by their work shall you know them.
Yeah, you know, yeah. Thank you. That's kind of wanna run by, and you know,
Yeah.
our team is the same focus.
great. Well,
Thank
that's
you,
a
everybody.
wonderful way to end. Thank you, Kanamu. I
You
greatly
guys have a
appreciate
great
the
day.
interview.
Rest of your
You
day.
too.
Aloha. Aloha.
Aloha.